Hi everyone, I am Sandeep. I am a PhD student and public scholar at the Institute of Resources, Environment and Sustainability at the University of British Columbia. And today I'll be talking about ensuring just transition for fossil fuel workers. Okay, so as Tom said, a massive report came out last year and it made global headlines. And it's basically said that we have a decade to move away from fossil fuels, especially coal. We need to move away from coal by 2030 by almost 60% and by 2050 by 100%. But this change in energy system will not be only changes in infrastructure, but also will entail massive changes in society. And the big question is what will happen to millions of workers who work in the coal industry? And this is a question for other fossil fuels, but I focus on the coal industry. Now, people can ask, why do we care, right? Industrial declines have happened in the past. So, textile declined and other steel declined, but why do we care? And I say that there's two important reasons. One is this political and the strategic reason, and the second is the justice reason. So, starting with the political reason. So, in 2016, the US elections, in Ohio, Hillary Clinton went. And I will read. And after a long speech, she said, I'm the only candidate who has a policy about how to bring economic opportunity using clean energy as the key into coal country. Because we are going to put a lot of coal miners and coal companies out of business. So the last part, she later admitted in her book that it was one of the biggest mistakes of her campaign. Because she lost in all major coal states. But the current president, he went and he did this and he said, I'm going to bring back all the coal jobs. And he kept saying during the campaign, if you look at campaign speeches, that, she said that she's going to take away your jobs. So, and once he got elected, he pulled US out of the Paris Agreement and so on. And this is not just a US phenomenon. We see this being played out in Canada almost on a daily basis. We see the leader of opposition and some premiers of different provinces we talk about how climate action is affecting people's jobs, oil and gas workers' jobs. In fact, and this is not just in North America. In fact, in Australia, this Scott Morrison, who was now the Prime Minister, previously as Treasurer, actually brought a lump of coal in the Parliament, and he said people who are opposing coal are trying to take away coal jobs. And he called people coalophobic. And so that is the strategic and political reason. But there's also a question of justice because these workers are providing electricity and energy today. And UN has recognized that from a just transitions point of view, it's very important that as we move to low carbon sources, we take care of these people. Now I thought I'll present some examples of why there are millions of poor people who work, for example, in India as coal cycle wallahs. And they are in the informal coal industry, way beyond the formal coal. And these are villagers who collect coal from nearby abandoned coal mine sites. They dig and from using primitive methods and collect coal. And their entire families are involved. So everybody does this, collects this huge lump of coal. Even kids are involved. If you go to these coal-rich regions in places like India, even China, you will find that kids are collecting coal and bringing it to their families, where they process this coal, and then later they will sell it in the market. So this is how they process the coal. So they bring coal and they burn it so that they remove impurities, and then pour water and then dry it, and then eventually it's sold in the market where typically a person transports it. And the next picture is going to show you how it's transported in places like India. So typically the male member of the family will collect all these between 150 kilograms to 450 kilograms of coal and push his bicycle for 60 kilometers and then sell it for $2 or $3. So this is why it's important to think about this question. So my PhD specifically focuses on, can renewable energy jobs such as solar and wind be the answer? And can those jobs be created for coal workers, especially in areas where they currently live and work? So I focused, this is an example of China. I used geographical information systems and I created maps and I assessed the solar and wind potential around areas where currently coal mining is happening. Because if there is adequate solar and wind resources, then you can create those jobs and some of the coal miners can get those jobs. And I did this exercise for India, China, Australia, and US, which collectively produces 70% of global coal. So pretty much like more than 2/3 of the global coal production comes from these countries. And I have results, which I will share. So just follow column 3 with me, which is highlighted in yellow. And you can see that for solar, China, which produces half of global coal, actually China is not doing that well. Only 28% of coal areas around coal mines are suitable for solar. But US is fine. And India and Australia are like great, like there's adequate solar resources in and around. But wind is a really poor story across countries. So in all the 4 cases, so almost 70% of coal mines, areas around are not suitable for it. So that was the project that I just finished. My next research looks at the coal phase out in Alberta, and it's a huge political issue, and how workers can find new jobs in renewables or any other industries. So that is something that I plan to do from now on. Thank you so much, and I would love to connect on Twitter or email or chat about any of these issues. Thank you.